Good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Brief Nerdity podcast. My name is Trent, your host for the evening, and I am joined once again by two incredible co-hosts. First up, Erik, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm fantastic. And also joining us this week again is Ben Smith. How you doing?
Doing great. Your exaggerations of us are much appreciated.
Exaggerations. You are wonderful.
I'm an incredible co-host. I don't know about you.
You are my incredible co-host. For now. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. We got.
Just kidding. So thanks again for joining us, all those who are listening this evening. We have a fun show for you, I hope, today. We got some interesting gaming and movie news post-Super Bowl, and we're going to talk about the Super Bowl also. But first, let's jump into what we are watching and playing. So I'll go ahead and start with what I'm playing lately, and it's a lot of World of Warcraft, which should be no surprise to anyone who listened to Janelle and I a couple weeks ago. But yeah, I've been pulled back in. I need to turn in my sobriety chip. Oh, that joke didn't land very well, apparently. So yeah, what do you guys? Are you guys thinking about getting back into WoW at all?
Not yet.
It always pulls me back once there's a new one. Don't like to admit that, but yeah.
So I'm sure you guys have seen the pre-order for the next expansion.
No, actually I haven't.
Well, we will talk more about that here in a little bit, but he's coming. It's very exciting. So how about you guys? What have you been playing? We'll start with Ben.
I drug up an old classic recently called Rogue Legacy. It's a lot of fun. You basically every time you die, you don't exactly restart. You do, but it's your descendant that then goes into the castle to try and win. And so it's kind of like a long progression, and the goal is to, not only to beat the game, but to you know, go in with as few descendants as possible.
There was an iPhone game like that I played called Infinity Blade, and I didn't realize that it was reimagining.
Rogue Legacy isn't super old. I want to say I first played it maybe 5-6 years ago. But it's a lot of fun. It's a 2D platformer, and I don't know, I always like those games.
I've heard a lot about it. I've never actually tried it before. So does your descendant inherit the traits of the older generation, or what's the benefit of going back in?
That's the thing. First off, you kind of have to go in. That's the whole point of the game. You literally start outside the castle. When you die,
how is it different than just an extra life?
Well, when you die and you have a new character, they actually get random traits assigned to them. Like there can be dwarfism, gigantism. Some dude might be better at cutting, stuff like that. So some things can be much better at fight, and some aren't as great. Gigantism can be pretty sweet just because your sword becomes a lot bigger, so it's easier to hit everything. While at the same time, a lot harder to hit things if you're small, but, hey, it's also easier to get around stuff, so kind of give and take.
So you're saying the size matters?
Size always matters.
I'm 12.
Always.
So yeah, I'm looking at it on Steam right now. It looks fun.
It is a lot of fun. If you like 2D platformers in any way, shape, or form, it is a great one to have.
Neat.
Not super long. I want to say I think I beat it in a weekend, but it was a blast. I'd probably, click it on your wish list, wait till it goes on sale. It used to go on sale all the time. I don't even know what it costs right now, but there's a good chance you can get it
15
off. Oh yeah, there's a good chance it'll go on sale for $5 to $10 at some point.
Nice. And the graphics are kind of adorably cartoony, so
yeah, when your guy runs, he sticks the sword kind of diagonally, tally ho, and the way they kind of run are just amusing.
That's awesome. All right, well, I've added it to my wish list, so thank you for that.
Speaking of cartoony Castle Crashers, Trent, when are we going to play that 9 Parchments?
Oh, yeah, we should do that. The thing that we bought in that pack.
And then didn't do anything with.
Well, it's good. Was it that night that we started playing Starbound? Or was it?
Yeah.
I mean, so.
And then World of Warcraft came out.
Yeah. Came back.
We were supposed to be doing a 7 Days to Die server at some point.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Someday.
So many plans.
Someday. So is the castle the same every time you play it, or is it procedurally generated with each playthrough? On Rogue Legacy.
You know, I honestly don't recall.
Huh. That would be fun if it changes each time, like each game, not like each time you die, but like each game, that would be kind of cool.
If I remember correctly, I believe it is procedurally generated to an extent, but
that
I
sounds
could
fun.
be wrong.
Cool. So what are you playing, Eric?
Eternal. New set came out in December. I think I mentioned that in one of these shows, and finally getting a stable meta. We just got a big patch that shifted around a lot of the weight. Really put some emphasis on a green-black kind. It's called a mid-range deck, which it's not an aggro deck that just rushes in and tries to win, but it's not a control deck that tries to clear the entire enemy board either.
Huh.
It just tries to get overbearing where you can't do anything about it.
Oh, so like plus trample, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, you just get bigger and bigger monsters on the board.
Yeah, those are fun. And that's definitely very green. Like from what I'm just speaking from my memories of Magic, but
right. So this game has so many parallels to Magic that is a good assumption. Yeah. The core card is a legend called Tavrod, and every time he attacks, you look at the top 5 cards of your deck, pick 1 Minotaur and 1 weapon to go into your hand, and each of those get +5 power on them.
Huh.
And so your goal is to pick up more Tavrods and weapons that let you just smash their creatures out of the way.
So if he's legendary, how many of them can you have in your
4? This game does not have any legendary restriction. Legendary cards are just a rarity level, and it seems that Eternal's rares are a little bit better as they go up the scale. Not so much that you're not playing with any commons or anything like that, but you get just a little tiny bit of an edge in cost to effect ratio.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
See, like I feel like this is a game I should get into. There's too many games. I need like more hours in the day.
What I love about this one is it is the same game on your phone. So it's something you can do while you're waiting around for things to happen.
That's true.
Booted Rogue Legacy up real quick. Yes, it is procedurally generated.
Nice. Well, I look forward to playing that at some point. I look forward to playing everything at some point. Someday.
Time.
Exactly. Have you guys been watching anything fun lately? Looks like Eric and I have the same answer, so why don't you go first, Ben?
For me, I'm rewatching an anime called The Disastrous Life of Saiki K. If you hadn't guessed by now, I like anime. And it's just a really goofy little show about this random kid in high school who just has like basically super psychic powers, and it's like not common, and it's kind of unique in the fact that it's not like a superhero show or anything. It's basically the kid just trying to go through life and not be annoyed by other people.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just trying to do his thing, and everybody's pretty much just inferior to him. So,
are you all caught up on Ruby, Ben?
No. The last thing I watched, big time spoiler.
Very
Yeah, Trent's a ways behind. You watched the end of season 3, I think.
Hard to say. It's been so long since I watched it. Most likely.
Yeah, that's the single biggest spoiler is the end of season 3. So
It is.
Okay.
It is actually my next thing to watch. Once I catch up on The Magicians.
now, TK has said to me that he watched one episode. He said that it felt very formulaic, and I don't think he's wrong per se, but to me it feels more like they play on those tropes rather than just using them. What would you say about that?
From what I've seen, I mean, it gets a lot better the further in you go. The beginning was a little rough to get through. I mean, it did feel kind of forced in the beginning.
I think it probably helped me that I watched the entire first season as one thing on Netflix.
Yeah, actually, I did as well. So,
Yeah.
And it got consistently better, so I kept with it.
Yeah, I don't know why you would want to watch the episodes are what, like 5 or 6 minutes or something?
The early ones, yeah. The ones this season ranged from I think 15 to 20.
Oh wow. So yeah, like I would recommend watching the entire first season. I really enjoyed it. I don't know if he means like formulaic for anime or for animation in general, or
just that it really relies heavily on your classic storytelling tropes. I mean, the characters specifically reference Little Red Riding Hood and Joan of Arc and what's his name, the guy with the heel, Achilles. I mean, the characters are not new characters per se.
So they're not clever. Basically.
That was his impression, yeah.
Meh. Who cares?
I don't know. I figure
it'd still be perfectly entertaining.
I figure you squint hard enough at anything, you're gonna see the same story.
Right. I mean, coming from an English major perspective, yeah, there aren't that many new ideas out there.
No, there's a million stories out there, and something's always going to resemble something else.
Yeah. So that sounds fun. One day I will give anime a try. Janelle wants me to watch Voltron, so we'll see. Maybe I'll
Voltron is not anime.
Well, it might be the closest I ever get.
Well, to be specific, new Voltron is not anime.
Huh.
Old Voltron was anime. New Voltron is done by Netflix and made, I believe, by the people who did Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is actually an American-made show, not Japanese.
Huh. Fair enough. Well, there's that.
However, it's very good, and you should definitely watch it. It's amazing. Have you watched Avatar at all?
No.
Okay, well, that needs to be the next thing on your list because it's freaking amazing.
We've just established that like 4 things need to be the next thing on my list. Like this is problematic.
You play games and watch shit all the time. I know you.
I do. But like I'm trying to keep up with my 6 CW shows right now, and one of them's not even on right now.
Screw those. Avatar is worth more.
I know, but I don't want to fall behind. Do you know how hard it is to catch up on a 4-show series?
Especially when they interconnect.
Yeah. Erik is catching up right now, and it's like if Legends of Tomorrow was on at the same, like I don't know why it's on break, but it still is. But I would just be dead trying to keep up with everything.
Yeah, I took quite a bit of a break from my Arrowverse watching, and in fact, until maybe 3 weeks ago, I hadn't watched any of the most recent season, and now I'm like 3 or 4 episodes behind.
Nice.
I find it kind of interesting. I have found basically DC's movies to be very lackluster, but I found their animations to be amazing. And then as far as like the Netflix variety goes, I've enjoyed the DC shows more than the Marvel shows. Like I was not
Netflix shows are there?
Well, Arrow, the entire Arrowverse is DC.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said Netflix.
Well, I mean, he could
It's
be
on
watching them on Netflix.
That's fair. They do show up on Netflix right as the season ends.
Well, to be specific, Netflix is kind of more showcasing the Marvel. That's where all the Marvel stuff's being put. So,
Right.
like Luke Cage, Iron Fist, all that stuff.
Yeah, I was huge into that whole thing, and then like the new Punisher series came out. I don't even remember when, and I haven't looked at it at all.
I've had no desire to watch it. I didn't really like the guy they got to play the Punisher, and apparently that's a sin and crime amongst humanity to some people. But I just don't.
He was the best part of Daredevil season 2, but that's not really saying a whole lot, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think my problem with the Marvel stuff is it just is so damn serious, and like everybody's emo and whiny and just
Except not in their movies.
Right. I love Jessica Jones.
Oh, their movies are amazing. Jessica Jones, I actually got so bored with the first episode I turned it off.
It's so good. Anyway, yeah. I don't know.
To be honest, I've got a little bit of a gripe with the Arrowverse as well. They do get a little too over dramatic at times.
What?
Yeah, but if you're watching all of them, it evens out because the Flash and
I enjoyed the Flash a lot.
What's the other one?
Arrow, Supergirl.
No, the last one.
Legends of Tomorrow.
Yes, Legends. The Flash and Legends are very silly. Legends to the point where I'm like, seriously? You have a time travel machine. This should not be a problem.
Yeah, well, they need to fire whoever writes their time travel stuff because it's bad. We've talked about that before.
And then Arrow is heavily over dramatized.
Oh my gosh.
Supergirl's kind of in the middle, mostly serious, but with decently silly characters too.
My biggest problem by far is the actual Arrow show. A lot of people like Stephen Amell, and it might not be him that's causing the problem, but for me, the main character is just so damn brooding all the frickin' time. Maybe I didn't get far enough.
They make fun of the. Oh no, that's his character.
Yeah.
But they do make fun of.
That's not the Green Arrow. The Green Arrow
not.
Was a playful trickster, practically. I mean,
it's not the animated Green Arrow.
I'm just saying, I want my real Green Arrow, not Mr. Broods a lot.
I mean, he reminds me quite a bit of the Smallville Green Arrow.
Yeah.
I will give Arrow the credit that I like a lot of their side characters, though.
Yeah.
Totally forgetting her name, but the tech chick, she's awesome.
Felicity Smoke, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Felicity is great, and I really like the. Oh gosh, it's been so long since I watched Arrow. It's basically his bodyguard or whatever.
Diggle.
Yeah, Diggle. I like him.
I like Diggle. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm not hating any of the shows right now, which is good because I hated Arrow last season.
To be fair,
Arrow went some weird places last season.
To be fair, I'm pretty picky with a lot of the superhero genre because I know a lot of it. I've ironically haven't actually read comics really ever, but I've gotten very bored at times and read way too much on Wikipedia.
So you have a preconceived notion of what this universe should be, and they're not fulfilling that.
Not exactly. I have watched a lot of the animated stuff and done a lot of other things. I just haven't actually picked up physical comic books. Yeah. And so I actually know quite a bit about this stuff, oddly enough, without reading actual comic books, but just nothing really lines up. They just drastically changed the characters, and I don't know. You got to do a really good job for me to accept a character change. And like one of the best examples I can give is the old Daredevil movie. Crappy movie. Just gonna say that off the start.
Yeah.
But Ben Affleck was freaking horrible. But traditionally, the Kingpin would be a large white man. They got Michael Clark Duncan. It was freaking amazing. He was like the best Kingpin ever. So, that's a pretty big change, but, he just did such a good job, I didn't care.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm just a stickler for details. It's the whole reason I was kind of on Guardians of the Galaxy 2. So many details.
See, I just don't, because I know that if I care about those things, it'll bother me, and so I'm just like, this is something different with people that happen to share the same name, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and to
and
an extent, I'm okay with things being different. It's just that, like, again, I think I've used Guardians quite often as an analogy for this, but it just, the whole, for some reason, that Ego, I mean, again, spoiler, that Ego's a Celestial. There was no reason to make him a Celestial. It made zero sense. If you know anything about the lore, it made zero sense to do so. He was already a super powerful, creature from the stars. They didn't have to make him a Celestial because that's a very specific thing in Marvel.
Yeah, and maybe in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it'll be something different than what we're used to. I have been hugely surprised. I'll be watching Flash or Arrow or something, and they'll introduce a new character. I know this has got to be a character from the comics, so I go and look them up. And it'll be like, well, there's this one and this one and this one and this one. I'm like, there's 5 characters. They're not the same guy, but they're the same character.
A lot of the live media has drastically changed characters. But like, for instance, just a little bit of trivia: in Guardians 1, where they go to, what was it, Nowhere or Unknown or whatever, that like outlaw place that's mining that big head.
Yeah,
that is a dead Celestial. That is what a Celestial should look like.
Huh.
Celestials look like giant armored beings, like 200 feet tall. Some are even bigger.
That's cool.
So, anyways, it just didn't really make any sense to make Ego a Celestial.
Yeah, it was really funny.
I'll get off that now, though.
That's okay. It was funny. A friend of mine was like, I'm glad the other Flash took a break, because like 2 Flashes on the same show, like that was just weird. And then like whenever Jesse Quick showed up, there was like 3, and I was like, what? The comics sometimes had like 5.
Are you kidding me? There's more than that.
I know. Well, like at one time,
so many
even.
Quicksters.
Yeah. But anyway, so Eric and I are catching. Well, yeah, I'm mostly caught up on Arrowverse. Like I seem to be like a half a week behind at all times, just because I'm like, oh, it's another day. Oh wait, there's been another episode.
So that's not too bad though.
Part of my problem with those shows is also my wife's not really into the overly dramatic, darker shows, which those ones can kind of go into. So pretty much I have to watch them by myself at night, and I've just been so tired lately that I haven't really been staying up to watch anything.
Yeah,
that's fair. So moving on from what we're watching to some of the main topics of the week, did you guys watch the Super Bowl?
Yeah, pretty fun game actually.
Not even remotely.
I did not. I was playing World of Warcraft the whole time. But I heard it was interesting, and that there were some cool commercials, and that Justin Timberlake looked like a hillbilly from Montana.
Yeah, he had some sort of camo outfit on. It was kind of weird. And I felt that his volume, like his personal volume, was down too low. His backup singers were almost as loud as he was.
That's awkward.
Did he sing the halftime show or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, in all fairness, the last time he did it, he did a really poor job. He just sounded awful.
Well, the last time he did it, everybody was distracted by what he was doing rather than what he was singing.
Yeah,
he still danced around stage singing for quite a while before he grabbed her titties.
Wow, he just went there.
I did. He went there. Why not?
Family-friendly podcast. It's okay. So one of the big stories that came out of the Super Bowl was the Han Solo 30-second teaser, which was followed the next day by the full teaser. So we got like a teaser of a teaser of a trailer. It's very confusing. But
yeah.
I've
watched the trailer now, and having watched it, I think it will be an enjoyable movie. I'm less convinced that it will be a good Han Solo movie.
Yeah.
I really don't think it's going to be possible for somebody to fill the shoes of Harrison Ford and Han Solo. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, like looking at him, you can kind of think like, okay, maybe Han used to have long hair when he was younger. That's fine, or longer hair anyway. And he kind of does, like that scene at the end. It was like, I was worried there for a minute, but we're fine. Everything's fine. Like that thing kind of reminded me a little bit of Han Solo. I was really just waiting for him to yell like it's not my fault, because like I feel like that would have been a great moment. Maybe that'll be in the movie itself. But I mean, it's Chewie and Star Wars stuff, and like the TIE fighters look awesome, and like, holy crap! How quickly did Han Solo ruin the Millennium Falcon's interior? Because that thing is like spotless in the preview. It's like brand new.
He was probably smuggling something disgusting.
I was gonna make a joke about like Wookiees, man. You just can't keep up after them.
Just don't argue with them. They'll pull your arms off.
That's right.
Maybe that's what happened. I don't know. The whole thing reupholstered.
I think it'll probably be an enjoyable movie, but I just don't think anybody can live up to that legacy.
Yeah. So speaking of other Star Wars news, did you guys hear that the creators and showrunners of Game of Thrones are going to be heading up their own series of Star Wars movies?
Yep.
I read that, but seeing as how I've watched no Game of Thrones, it means nothing to me.
So are there going to be any characters we know, or is this a completely new arc?
So all they're saying is that they're not directly connected to the Skywalker saga. So there's likely not to be a Skywalker in it, but I'm sure that it'll be someone from lore or someone that, I mean, there's going to be a reason for people to want to go see this movie.
Right.
To be Revan.
So
KOTOR, make it happen. I want it.
So it's Benioff and Weiss are the two guys who run Game of Thrones, and if you watch the after show of Game of Thrones where they kind of like talk about the episode, it's those two guys that are talking.
So does that mean the new Star Wars is going to be of the more graphic variety?
Well, so that's what I'm interested. What do you guys think? Do you think that a like PG-13 / rated R Star Wars movie is something that could exist? I'm gonna go with no.
It's really hard to say.
I don't think it could have existed when Lucas was in control.
Oh, definitely not. And to be honest, I would honestly prefer to keep Star Wars pretty relatively family friendly.
Right. And I think that, I mean, it's owned by Disney. Like, I don't think that they're looking to adultify their brand. I mean, I'm worried about what they're going to do with Deadpool, personally.
Well,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think Deadpool could have been toned down a bit anyways, so
Nah.
not the humor, just like the gore and the cussing. It doesn't do it for me.
Gotcha.
Wacky antics, those are a must, but not the gore and the cussing.
My thought is, why hire the guys that are known for nothing other than Game of Thrones if you don't want something like Game of Thrones?
Well, and I think it'll be like Game of Thrones in terms of like the kind of storytelling that they do. I don't think it necessarily needs to be like
You know what everybody's hoping for now, right?
Nudity.
Twi'leks.
Oh.
Twi'leks pole dancing.
Nice.
If that happens, they will make so many nerds happy.
I'm still waiting for an announcement of some kind of Star Wars TV show. Like, that's what I was hoping when I saw their names. I was like, oh man, they're going to make a Star Wars TV show. But no, it's going to be
It made more sense.
Series of films. So, and this is also aside from the trilogy that has been promised to Rian Johnson. Whether that's still happening after Last Jedi, we're not sure yet. But it seems like Star Wars is definitely not slowing down after Episode 9. So that's kind of exciting.
I'm really surprised just how many movies they want to push out just from that franchise alone so quickly.
Yeah, I think they want to keep up one a year. So
I think they're basically trying to do the same thing Marvel's doing, like build a big expansive universe and just movie.
Well, I
And
mean,
if they can do a good job with it, I'm okay with it.
I think they're doing something similar to it. I mean, they're definitely not doing it at the same pace because Marvel puts out 2 to 3 a year.
It's impressive.
It's very impressive.
Especially
Speaking of
since
which,
they've all been good.
as of this afternoon anyway, 52 reviews were in for Black Panther, and all of them had a positive review on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yes.
That's good. I was
I'm
a little worried
excited
about
for
that
that.
movie.
I liked his brief spot in Age of Ultron, was it?
Civil War.
Civil War. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, there's 60 reviews now, and they're all positive. So I'm pretty stoked for that movie. It looks really good. And I'm
All
also
I know
really
is-
stoked. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, all I know is every time I see the title screen pop up for Black Panther, I want to call him Bling Panther, just because
He's got-
it's like all the sparkles in the world in those letters.
The ads I've seen, I've been pretty happy with their music choices.
I think I think it'll be good. I'm really excited to see, your kind of like your non-typical group being represented, with their own superhero. So that's really cool.
Yeah, my biggest worry is sometimes when it's not your average typical scenario, they try way too hard to show that
Yeah,
instead of just making it natural, and it can really ruin a film.
yeah. I'm pretty confident in it. We'll see how it goes. I think it comes out
It
this
looks
month,
good.
isn't it?
It looks good, and frankly, Marvel has done a phenomenal job so far. So I mean, really, it's probably going to be amazing.
Oh, hey, it's in theaters next Friday.
Oh wow, that's quicker than
So
I thought.
I should get tickets then. That's pretty cool. So yeah, so that's some exciting stuff about Star Wars and Black Panther. There's kind of the new short trailer, which basically just showed a couple new scenes for Infinity Wars. There was this really cool scene that I liked a lot, where it showed Doctor Strange like preparing a spell, and then like Iron Man like reaching over past him to like shoot a bolt. It was just really cool looking the way they did the.
It
the
almost
camera
looked
work.
like they were working together on something,
I think so too.
which could potentially be very cool.
It almost looks like the movie is going to take place in two different fronts altogether. Like there's the Captain America Wakanda group, and then there's the like Doctor Strange, Iron Man, Spider-Man in New York group, and that they're separate.
Well, in all fairness, if you know anything about the Infinity Wars, it basically involves practically every superhero ever
Well, yeah.
against Thanos. So
Well, I knew that they were all going to be involved. I just thought they might all come into the same place. But it looks like they're going to be split up for most of the movie, based on what we've seen in the previews anyway. But I mean, they did split literally in Civil War. So
yeah,
Right.
that's true.
have you guys seen Captain America's new shield?
Not that I noticed. No.
It looks like a gauntlet type thing on his arm, and apparently
Yeah.
it's like Wakandan, and it's gonna like expand whenever he wants it to, like into a full circle. I think it's gonna be really cool.
Yeah, it was in the ad, right?
Yeah.
I saw it. I just didn't realize it was Captain America wielding it.
Yeah, well, he looks really different in his like black outfit and beard. So he's like, whatever. I'm not a superhero anymore. I don't have to shave.
I'm a villain.
Well, it would make sense that they could make him a new shield because their technology is supposed to be off the charts.
Yeah.
And to top it off, they are like the world supplier of vibranium, which I believe is what the original shield was made out of.
Yes, that is accurate. So I'm pretty excited. It looks really cool. Apparently, I'm going to be able to see it next week, which is neat. So let's talk about some World of Warcraft, since I'm excited about it, and you guys may or may not be, but I am. So the WoW expansion pre-order opened up last Tuesday, kind of unexpectedly. They didn't really announce it ahead of time, and as such, a few million people went to the Blizzard, or at least hundreds of thousands of people went to the Blizzard store and all tried to purchase it the same day. They were told that they were like 6 trillion days away from being first in line. Some people had their credit cards charged repeatedly, like 7 or 8 times in a row for the same game. Needless to say, Blizzard's store got a stress test that it had never had before and didn't do so well.
It's like when Star Wars came out and broke the internet.
On the bright side, that means that a lot of people pre-ordered Battle for Azeroth, which is really cool. So
it seems to me that not knowing it was coming out would have lowered the number trying to hit it at once. I guess maybe if they had done it in a more traditional way, they would have unrolled it across different time zones or nationalities.
Right.
Whereas it sounds like this was literally everyone can get it at the same time.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. In my experience, anything that's supposed to be a secret tends to spread faster. So, people didn't know, quotations.
I mean, it was rumored. The funny thing is that while all this was happening, Ian Hazakostas and Lore were doing a like Q&A, like water cooler live stream thing, and so they were like trying to talk about it while like people were coming in and like telling like they were like it was like dealing with everything that was going on. It was really amusing. But yeah, so the Allied Races stuff is really cool. You get there's 2 of each right now with the pre-order that you get access to early, kind of like how we got Demon Hunters early with Legion's pre-order.
Right.
And I have unlocked the Nightborn so far and have a Nightborn Warlock, which has been fun.
Those are the magic elf people, right?
Yeah, it's the night elves, but not. It's just they're called the Nightfallen.
It's the ones that broke away back before the war, basically, and were hidden.
And they were in the bubble, and they
I know which ones.
Yeah,
these start back at level 1, right?
They start at level 20.
Oh, well, that's kind of fun. But that's still, what, 80, 85 levels?
You can get to 110 right now.
Oh, geez.
So it's 90 levels, and then 120 with the expansion that's coming.
Yeah, I will never level a character again. Even if I come back to play it, I will play on my top level characters.
Well, on the bright side, you get a 110 character boost with the expansion pre-order as well. I haven't used mine yet. I might use it on an Alliance character just so I can start working on the Alliance races. But the cool thing is if you do take the time to level from 20 to 110 without boosting, you get access to that race's heirloom transmog armor set that you can then wear on anyone of that race, which is really cool.
So basically just a perk to not insta-boost your character.
Right. So a reason to level at least one of them from 20 to 110. And the nice thing about it is with the new zone scaling, leveling is a lot better in my opinion. Like I know some people are complaining about that it's harder and it takes a little bit longer, but I mean you can stay in the zone and get like level appropriate loot until you're done with the story, and then you can go wherever's next. And my favorite thing, the expansions are overlapping now, so you can do Burning Crusade or Wrath of the Lich King from 60 to 80, which means I never have to go to Outland again.
Not a fan, huh?
I love the aesthetic of Outland, and I love some of the storylines out there, but it's just so like it's the oldest content in the game right now, and some of it is just not well designed. Like just the amount of time, in Hellfire, so you're in Thrallmar, and then you want to go down to this other place and talk to these blood elves, and they send you back to Thrallmar, and they send you back down, and then they send you to Zengarmarsh, but then they send you back to Thrallmar. I'm like, okay, I'm done traveling. Give me something to do.
Outland was not small.
No, Outland was huge.
They also started to include kind of different quests in Wrath of the Lich King.
Yeah. Oh,
like instead of just your standard go get this or go kill this quest, which was pretty much what WoW was for a very long time, they started making unique quests along the way.
Yeah. The other benefit also, they've done away with all the like Outland flying, cold weather flying, all that stuff. So once you hit 60, if you purchase expert riding, you can fly from 60 on. Nice. The only thing that doesn't work is if you have to have the Pathfinder quests done in Draenor and Legion to fly there. But so that's a nice perk.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't have Draenor Pathfinder on any of my characters, so if my Warlock gets there, maybe he'll do it, or maybe I'll just never fly in Draenor. Who knows?
Honestly, the last expansion I was not a super huge fan of. I really didn't like what they were doing.
I
really enjoyed
details.
Legion.
I loved the leveling. I think he's talking about the Warlords of Draenor.
Oh, was that the? Did I play that one at all?
No,
or you said the last one you played?
I'm talking to Legion, where they just started killing everybody.
No, they didn't just start killing everybody. They killed one.
They killed so many people.
They killed 2 people. Like, it's a war. The Legion is invading. If no one had died, I would have even been more upset.
And then didn't he end up in Heroes of the Storm?
Varian?
I think so.
Yeah, he's in Heroes of the Storm.
He's in Heroes
so
of the Storm,
I guess we lost 3 if you count Tyrion.
No, Heroes of the Storm is. There are characters that have not died there yet.
We also lost the Green Dragon, and
yeah, okay, so 4 people.
I'm sure there's
dragons don't count as people.
Important people.
Green Dragon's pretty damn important.
I know. I said 4 important people.
I said he doesn't count because he's a dragon.
3 if you don't count Tyrion.
I'm sure there's more. It's been a while since I played. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't help that Varian was like my all-time favorite character ever.
See, and I barely even.
Aren't you a Horde player? I thought you were a Horde guy.
I played Horde because of you guys. I started Alliance originally. I have characters on both sides.
I never cared for Varian personally. I always thought he was too moody and aggressive.
Yeah, well, Varian never cared for you.
I know. I'm a Horde scum to him.
My memories of Varian are the 12-year-old kid that got left behind to rule the city.
That was Anduin.
Oh, yeah. See, I don't even know who the guy is.
Varian Wren was the one with the giant badass sword.
I mean, that's like everybody.
I'm gonna say that's my warrior. No, or my Death Knight, depending. I mean, I didn't mind him. I like Anduin as a leader better, to be honest. I wish he would stop listening to Gan Greymane, but that's because I'm a Sylvanas fan, so you know.
Yeah, I don't exactly know where that's going, but when I was last playing, Sylvanas was just going bad shit insane.
Dark Lady, watch over us. I started out as an undead, so.
Did that ever get expounded on much? Because I mean, like,
which part?
Well, like the main thing I remember is like the Vicul or something. You know,
Valkyr is who she was.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. I mean, she like tried to trap the one that could keep her alive, and I don't know. It just seems like every thing I see with her, she's just kind of going a little bit more nutty. I'm like half expecting her to turn into a bad guy at some point.
Well, so she's actually had a really interesting character arc leading up to Wrath and since Wrath. Like her whole purpose leading up to Wrath of the Lich King was to kill the Lich King and get vengeance for what he did to her. And then she like literally, she's like, okay, I'm done. I've lost the will to live. Um, and she jumped off the Ice Crown Citadel and killed herself, basically.
Again.
Right. But one of the Valkyr,
When the
who
heck did
was
that happen?
is during a novel, maybe.
I was gonna say I don't remember that in the game at all.
I think she references it, but anyway, she jumps off Ice Crown, kills herself. The Valkyr who were in servitude to the Lich King were like, "Hey, there's this person that we could maybe work for who's not as crazy as the Lich King, and there's about to be a new one. So let's take this chance while he's dead." So they went down, and one of them sacrificed herself to bring her back to life, and
Or unlife.
right. Terms.
Just saying. She's still undead.
You're good. But Sylvanas came back, woke back up and said that all she saw was darkness, which is kind of what Arthas said. And she basically was like, well, I don't want to die anymore. So
there'd be no afterlife.
She's basically trying to secure, immortality for herself, basically.
Yeah, I knew she was trying to secure immortality because of that. It was mostly she just seemed to be getting kind of nutty, like desperate, and they just half expect to see her be like, the main campaign boss at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it could go that way. I'm hoping they don't, because everything she's doing makes sense for the position that she's in. I mean, she's undead. She knows that her afterlife is not good.
Well, I believe the reason her afterlife is nothing, is oblivion, is it had something to do with what Arthas did to her. Like in the WoW lore, there is an afterlife, I believe, but something was done to her that makes it unattainable.
Yeah. So
it wasn't just being drawn into the sword. It had something to do with being whatever he did to her, because he was a total jerk and just really screwed her over there.
Yeah, so she's got the situation, and then Crowley shoots her, and so she dies again. And another one of her Valkyr resurrected her by sacrificing herself. And so she's running out of Valkyr, and she's using these Valkyr to create more Forsaken so that her people, because her people obviously can't reproduce. And so she's trying to
hard to do that when you're dead.
Right. And so since her people basically keep, helping the alliance, or the Horde army is basically the orcs and the undead with some specialists from the other races. There's not a whole, in terms of total population, those are the two big ones.
Yeah, I found it really weird that they made the undead all just look like undead humans. At some point, they really need to fix that, and you could be like an undead Tauren or something.
Well, the plague was designed specifically for the humans, and these are all, until Cataclysm, all the Forsaken were undead who were turned by the plague, who broke free from the Lich King's control.
Yeah, I get that back then, but that's not the case now.
True. They've hinted at Forsaken elves, which would be kind of cool looking. Forsaken. Well, exactly. But anyway, so that leads us to Legion, where she makes a deal with Helia to get this lantern thing, which she can use to control Ayer, who is the head of the Valkyr, who would basically give her unlimited new Valkyr so that she'd never run out.
Unlimited do-overs.
Right. And then Gen came in and broke her lantern, and
yeah, I remember that.
She's pissed, and he's pissed, and because she killed his son or something, whatever.
Yeah, she hasn't been the best person, shall we say?
No, for sure. So anyway, that's what she was doing. I don't know what she's doing now. I'm really curious to see if she is actually the reason that Teldrassil burns, or if she just is there in the picture and using it as a diversion to make the Alliance really mad.
I didn't know Teldrassil got burned.
Oh, sorry. Upcoming spoilers. It was previewed heavily for the expansion storyline.
Yeah, that stuff just got announced though, didn't it?
It was BlizzCon was November.
I don't pay attention to that.
I mean, it hasn't happened yet, but it's basically the trailer of the new thing. So yeah, there's Sylvanas' recent story in a nutshell, with lots of stuff left out, I'm sure. So
I don't think it really hasn't changed then, because I did the whole quest chain for the Vicol thing or whatever. So it doesn't sound like it's really changed.
No, I mean that was the most recent stuff in Legion. So
yeah, it's just it was really early in Legion, and then it just kind of felt like it didn't go anywhere, and they didn't expound on it. So I figured there was something I missed or hadn't gotten to, or.
Well, so the weird thing about Legion is that each of the zones can be taken in any order, so they're all kind of technically happening at the same time. And then, like, the overarching stuff kind of took precedence over whatever Sylvanas is up to. So we don't know what she's up to, other than right now she's in the embassy welcoming new races, but...
And apparently lighting trees on fire.
Allegedly. We don't know who's responsible yet.
It looks pretty damning.
I mean, she is standing there while it's on fire. It's like, I mean, the term smoking gun or smoking tree, I guess, comes to mind.
It's a burning bush.
I'll be honest, I'm a little bummed if they wipe out that area.
Well, it's gonna be like. Do you want to know, or?
I'm sure it'll get altered, kind of like how Cataclysm changed things and everything. But Night Elf was the very first character I ever played, and I just remember logging into World of Warcraft and starting off in the Night Elf territory, and everything was just gorgeous. It had this kind of mystical music playing in the background, so it's got a bit of a soft spot for me, and knowing it'll be destroyed kind of sucks.
For sure. The nice thing about it, so they're phasing it based on level, so you can still start a level 1.
Oh, so you can still go back to it.
Yeah, if you start a level 1 Night Elf, you'll start in Teldrassil still, and you'll level out through the content. It's just when you hit level 110 and begin the main story quests for Battle for Azeroth, then the world will change.
And poof, the tree lights on fire.
So the tree is gone, and
there's your reward for hitting level whatever.
And the Undercity is going to be taken by the Alliance.
Oh, that's weird.
Well, that'll be awkward.
So they're basically shifting the power to where the Alliance has most of the Eastern Kingdoms and the Horde has most of Kalimdor. Poor Blood Elves. And poor Draenei.
Yeah.
Like, we alone. We have this zoning portal between us and them, though, so no one will ever cross it because no one ever wants to go there.
Kind of makes sense because, I mean, the main cities were always on the opposite continents.
Oh, I gotta say, a little nitpick thing. So when I did the Nightborn stuff, they first you go to Suramar and you meet with Liadrin, who's a Blood Elf ambassador, and the leader of the Nightfallen, and they're like, "We'll meet you in Silvermoon City," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." Open me a portal, and then just walk off and disappear. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I'm really, really glad I'm a mage, and so I just ported myself there. I just imagine as some other random class, you'd be like, I gotta go from Suramar to Silvermoon on my own? Like,
because screw you, man. Screw you.
Like, depending, I guess you could. Are there portals in Dalaran still? I don't even know. So it's like.
I thought you made a warlock. You made another.
No, I did. The mage. So you have to have a level 110 person go through a scenario that recruits the race once you've finished their prerequisites. And there's a little story thing that happens. And so, like the night Fallen travel to Silvermoon and meet with Lorthamar and Ramath and see the Sunwell, and it's all really cool.
That is something I would like them to do better at. I don't like how the only way to get from like one continent to the other is to like wait for a ride, and I don't know, it always feels like it takes forever to like, oh, I'm on this continent, I need to go to the other one. Okay, I'll set a flight path and walk off.
But I'm pretty sure Dalaran has portals. I haven't needed them lately, so I don't know.
Here's a random thought. Your mage currently has portal Undercity, right?
Yeah.
What's gonna happen?
I don't know. That's what I'm worried about. And
you log in, portal to Undercity, like, oh, I forgot something.
Don't mind me. I am a high elf. Where are my blue contacts? I am a high elf. Everything's fine.
I would assume they're just going to remove it from your list, but I truly hope they don't and like set up maybe a cutscene or something where you, I don't know, just get murdered or something. It'd be hilarious.
It'd be super interesting because they've never taken a capital city away before, so no one really knows what's going to happen. And I'm actually like
pretty big change.
I'm really sad about it because Undercity is like one of my favorite places because not only was I an undead for a long time, but like as a mage, you can go to any of the capital cities anytime you want, and so I would go there instead of Orgrimmar because there's less people around, and I like it better. And so like I don't know,
it's a little more compact. Orgrimmar is a pain to run around.
I'm going to miss it. So. Anyway, I think we've talked about WoW for enough time.
Well, I was going to say what I really want to see, and it's not going to happen. I want WoW Light, where I can just play with the pets.
People
can't do any quests. Can't do any dungeons.
People keep asking like why they haven't made an app yet that's just pet battles. Like they would do so well.
Yeah.
So anyway,
who knows? Probably never know. Kind of like how we want them to make, animated movies, and they just won't do it.
Right. So let's move on to one more quick story, and I think we'll be done for the evening. Which is it's kind of just a neat thing. So you guys have heard of the Overwatch League?
Yes.
Have you guys watched any of it?
No.
What about you,
Not
Ben?
at all.
No. Okay. I've watched a few matches. They're pretty fun. It's the first esports I've ever actually gotten into. But they've announced that a player by the name of Gaguri, I think is how you pronounce it, will be the first woman signed to an Overwatch League team, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I also liked that it didn't take very long, which is also nice.
Now,
It's brand new.
she must not be the first woman signed to any professional esports team because otherwise they would have said so. But
Right.
she's the first one I've heard of.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to have been a pro like Dota 2 player or something by this point. I would imagine.
Yeah.
I kind of feel bad that I don't know better.
Well, I'm just not a good spectator. The Super Bowl is the only thing I watch all year long.
Yeah, that would do it. So, what do you guys think about this? Cool.
I think it's good. I
think it's probably a good thing, but I'm relatively indifferent to it.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I never really cared if I don't really care to watch. I don't watch football. I don't really watch other people play games. I like to play said games, and I don't know. I guess I never really cared if it was a guy or a girl playing. So
Nice.
I'm just kind of indifferent to it.
That's fair.
If I take a step back, then yeah, it's probably a good thing though.
Yeah, at the least, it shows a cultural acceptance of the possibility of women in esports.
Right.
Or just women in gaming, period, because typically women are not associated with gaming. That's changed a lot, but traditionally that was not so. That's why I'm saying it is probably a good thing. It just doesn't matter to me personally.
Right. Which I think like the more it just becomes, oh yeah, that's cool. Like I think that means that's really good progress because, like, if it was like, whoa, there's a woman on an esports team, like the fact that we're all kind of like, oh, neat. I think is a really
my
good
indifference is a good thing.
There you go. So apparently, like, just kind of skimming through this Kotaku article, she was like, she's so good that she was once widely accused of cheating until she was.
I did see something about that.
I think I do remember hearing something about that, and she proved them wrong in glorious fashion.
Yep, that was pretty awesome. So she'll be joining the Shanghai Dragons team. Which I think is really funny that they all have like cities that they represent, considering the entire time the league is going, they all live in LA, but whatever.
Don't worry about it.
I want a Kansas City team, so I have someone to root for that's from my town. I mean, they don't have to be from my town, but they can just represent my town.
Just hire a bunch of Koreans to come over and represent Kansas City.
I don't have that much money. You know how much money these guys make?
Yeah, I think it's on the order of $1 million a year or so.
Yeah. If I had that much money, I would just retire.
Heck yeah. Screw paying for a team. Retirement time.
Pretty much. All righty. Was there anything else you guys want to chat about before we wrap up?
No.
Sweet.
No, nothing I can really think of.
All righty. Well, thanks everybody again for joining us for this episode of the Brief Nerdy Podcast. If you'd like to contribute to the show, ask some questions, or give us a topic to talk about, go over to our Facebook page. That's the Brief Nerdity Facebook page. Go to briefnerdity.com or send us an email at briefnerdity@gmail.com. We hope to hear from you all and see what you guys think. And thanks again to Erik and Ben for joining me this week. And
You're welcome.
and we'll see you guys
Thanks
later.
for having us.
Bye-bye.